Morning, good afternoon, and good evening. This is Ankush here from Alif Consulting. I'm working as Azure Solution Specialist here. Today, we are going to talk about Microsoft Cloud Adoption Framework for Azure. Now, first of all, what we need to understand is what is the Cloud Adoption Framework is. So, Cloud Adoption Framework is the methodology which has been created by Microsoft to successfully uh, uh, complete your cloud journey on the Azure. So it have a set of best practices, or it have a set of predefined guidelines which customer can follow to move all their workloads from the on-premise to Microsoft Azure cloud. So this is how your cloud adoption journey look like. So it have 6 stages. It start from defining the strategy, and then planning, and then readiness is, and then adopt, and then governor, and then manage. So it's have a total 6 stages, and all these studies have their best practices and implementation guidelines which you can follow, or which you can follow to successfully complete your migration or migration to the Azure cloud. Now, first, let's talk about the defining the strategy, which is your first stage of the cloud adoption framework. So, in defining a strategy, what you need to understand is what is your business requirement is, or what exactly your outcome looking for. Because maybe you are running something on on-premise, but if you move that to the Azure, that may create a business losses. Okay, so first of all, you need to understand the requirement, and you need to understand what exactly outcome you're looking for. Okay, and then you need to define the business justification for that. Now, let's say you are running something on your on-premise which costs you $5,000 per month, but if you run the same thing on the Azure, that may cost you $10,000. So that's not a good practice, because that way you're paying extra when you're running your workload on Azure. So you need to define a business justification for that. Then the third step in the defining strategy is going to be you need to find your first workload which you want to move on the Azure. So it's not something like you have 5 or 10 workloads or 10 applications running on the Azure, sorry, on the on-premise, and you want to move all of them on the cloud at the one time. That's not possible, or that's not something best practices according to the cloud adoption framework. So you have to define, or you have to identify which workload or which application first you want to move to the cloud to see the performance, or how exactly it's going to be look like for the business requirement. Now, second step is planning. In planning, basically you are going to define which workload do you want to move first, what exactly is your estimation time look like, how much time, or your all the projects planning, your solutioning, and everything come under the planning. So if you're running on something on the on-premise, you cannot move the same structure or same solution which you have, that cannot be run on the cloud. So cloud have all the different resources. Maybe like you are running a firewall on the on-premise, which is a physical firewall. Same way if you're going on Azure, that have virtual firewall. So planning is a stage where you define your solutioning, where you define your timelines, where you define when you're going to release your product when that has been moved on a cloud. Now, what is next step is ready. So ready is come when you have already defined your strategy, you already have planned like this is a workload you want to move in the cloud. And third is the ready. In ready, all of the steps is going to be on specifically for the Azure cloud. So first of all, what you are going to do, you are going to prepare your environment. So preparing an environment with whatever the requirement, like you need a virtual network, you need a VPN gateway, you need a firewall, you need a network appliances, you need to in place uh, application gateway, you need a load balancer. So all of those is thing going to be part of the preparing the environment. So where you are going to prepare your environment, you are going to select the reasons in which region you want to deploy. Second step in ready is going to be the expand your landing zone. So landing zone is something which is a very important as per the cloud adoption framework. So landing zone is something called a hub and spoke network, where you have all your network services deployed in a one hub, and then that hub is connecting with your multiple subscriptions or multiple applications. So that's called a landing zone. So that's going to be very important, because expanding a landing zone is something which is a very important. While expanding a landing zone, you are going to going to connect with the on-premise, and you're going to deploy all of your network resources to the Azure subscription. Now, third step is going to be integrate your co-location with the Azure cloud. Now, let's say you have a one data center in a one country, another data center in the another country, and then you have a third data center in the third country. So integrating this with all of these three core location is also become a very important, because you might be running some application on the Azure cloud which is not accessed in your country, but maybe in a second country where you have an office, all of those users are accessing that specific location, so specific application. So that's become a very important to integrate all of your core locations with the cloud network. Now next step is the adapt. Adapt is the something which has come in place where you have already ready your environment. Now you need to see how exactly you're going to move your application. Now, is this application is lift and shift? Is it application is need to rewrite? Okay, so there's a two things. Now, if it is a lift and shift, you can directly go ahead and migrate your VM or migrate your application directly to the Azure cloud on the VM or maybe on the web app. But if it is the innovated part, or if the application required a rewrite, then it's come under the innovate. So innovate, you are going to refactor it, you are going to re-architect, or you are going to rebuild it based on the application uh, functionality which you have right now on the on-premise, or how you want to move it to the Microsoft Azure cloud. The fifth step come under the governance. Now you have moved all of your resources, or or you've moved all of your required application resources to the Azure cloud. It's already there. Now, what you need to do, you need to put security policies, you need to put compliance policies, you need to put monitoring in place so that you can monitor the environment. So that's come under the governance, where you're going to define the all of those things like a monitoring, security policy, identity access baseline. You're going to secure the infrastructure. You are going to put control centers. You are going to create a control center for subscription which you're running there. Now, last step is the manage. Now, you put it the governance top of that. You put it all of your required security policies, compliance policies, and the all the identity baselines on the subscription on the workload where you are running uh, all of your applications. So last step becomes the how exactly you are going to manage them. So why this is important? So let's say you have six application running on the Azure, and all of those six application belongs to the different teams. So ownership is something which is required there, because if no one is going to take the ownership or something wrong with the application, how exactly you're going to manage it? So complete the ownership of managing and optimizing the workload. That's something very important. Optimize the workload resources. So optimizing the workload resources means, maybe let's say you're running a VM with the 2 core or 4 GB of RAM, but the application which is running on that VM is not performing well. So you have to optimize this. Maybe you are going to increase the size of that VM. You are going to do a horizontal or vertical scaling according to the requirement. So that's where you're going to optimize all of your workload resources to enhance the performance of your applications. Now, third is going to be how exactly you're going to put all of your security policies, or how exactly you're going to put the compliance policy. So in governance, we already have put in the security policies and compliance policy in place. But in the managed one, we will going to optimize all of them. So maybe we have a some parameter in the security where we want to enhance that, or where we want to make sure it have a more strong security on the application or on the workload which is running there. We have put it already have put it as compliance policy, but we want to make sure we have a tight compliance policy in place. So that's something is going to be part of the manage. And the last step is going to be how exactly you're going to optimize the resource costs. So you are running all the resources, and that's are running fine. But after some time, you realize that your resources are not being 100% utilized. They are like around 40, 45% or 50% utilized. So when that thing happen, what you can do your cost optimization, and you can save your code. So that's come under the manage stage. So that's how uh, cloud adoption framework for Azure looks like, and that's how you can start your migration journey for defining a strategy to the managing the environment. That's what I have for today. Thanks for watching this video. Please like and subscribe. And in case of if you need any help or if you want to start your journey with us, please feel free to reach us anytime.